What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. Greetings to all of you. I usually don't remember until after the anniversary of the murder of John F. Kennedy that I didn't do a piece. This year, I intended to be live, but alas, I was not. I am going to try to be live with you over this coming weekend, everybody. Wait, it is the weekend. All right, just before the weekend is out. Inshallah. But I'm here now because I wanted to mark this anniversary, the 61st anniversary of the murder of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. For those of you who might be new to the channel, first of all, I invite you to subscribe and become part of our family. But also to those of you who have been with me, and maybe you're already subscribing, you don't know, I have a video here on the channel that I did many years ago on my original Jedi channel, my 23,000 subscriber channel that was shut down in 2016. But I still have that piece, and it's on this channel. It's about the events of 9/11, and I did that piece because I was very obsessed with the subject matter of all things 9/11. But in my browsing and watching and checking, it began to dawn on me that I didn't see black people doing any videos about 9/11, which I found odd. Because I, in my own personal life, know and knew a lot of black people that were calling bullshit on it. So my video seeks to be the definitive answer on the subject, because I take you from beginning to end, every single detail. I spent many hours sourcing documents and videos and clips and everything to present my case. And I literally shot that video over the course of a week. Like, you literally see me go through wardrobe changes during the course of the video. So you should go and watch that. I will try to remember to link it, or put it in the description box underneath this video. Why I'm citing it now is because I literally open up that video with the JFK assassination, because I'm forwarding the hypothesis that Friday, November 22nd, 1963 was the day that America became a country that was beyond repair. And also, it was important for me to try and do this video because this year's anniversary fell on exactly the day that Kennedy was murdered. He was murdered on a Friday, and the anniversary came on a Friday. So I'm actually doing this on Friday. It's just that it's late. So I misspoke when I said I didn't do it. I'm just saying I meant to do it earlier in the day. Now it's, I don't know if it's midnight yet, but it's still the 22nd. And so that also made it significant. Like, this falls on the exact day of his murder. But as I was saying, I literally opened up my 9/11 video with the JFK assassination because I wanted to talk about conspiracy. And I show in that piece a very little known clip that's not widely known or seen, but is available to all, where the motorcade is leaving Love Field, and you see the Secret Service guys that would normally be on the limousine being called back by the point Secret Service guy in the car that's directly behind Kennedy's. And I was making, and there you could see them protesting, like, what the hell, we're supposed to be on the limousine, like, what are you talking about? You could see them throwing up their hands like, what do you mean? And I was making the point that you can be a part of a conspiracy and not even know that you're part of it. And I was trying to quell this fiction that many ignorant people have, that if you have a big event happen, a whole bunch of people would know about it and somebody would talk. No, you only need a very, very small number of people to pull anything off. And in this case, it would have been the head Secret Service guy that was in the follow-up car who had the power to tell those agents, don't get on the running boards that are literally made into the back of the limousine, the presidential limousine, specifically for agents to stand on. It's got handrails and everything for them to hold on to. So you just need that one guy to control that entire motorcade. And in the case of the police, the chief was told, keep the motorcycles back. You understand? And in the final analysis, when the limousine turns onto Elm Street, we see we see some motorcycles come first, but we know the Zapruder film was doctored. So that didn't happen. And so we see when the limousine turns onto Elm Street, we see that there is no motorcycles in front of the car, that they're all behind. All the police are behind the limousine. And that's the subject of our piece today. Because I want to highlight that this guy on your screen had the unfortunate honor of being the guy on the motorcycle, one of the motorcycles behind the limousine, to the driver's side back of the limousine. And when the final headshot strikes Kennedy, this guy was splattered with brain matter and pieces of Kennedy's skull. All right. So we know that that couldn't have happened if the bullet came from behind Kennedy. Hold on, you guys. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Maurice. Okay, so I don't remember where I was. But I will start by saying this proves yet again that the Oswald fiction is just that, fiction. It was a fairy tale. There was not a shot by Oswald at all. In fact, I don't think he ever fired a shot at all, you know. And but more than that, the fact that we see in the Zapruder film that Kennedy goes back and to the left, and Oliver Stone did a fantastic job of prosecuting this in the movie JFK with I forget the actor now, but he did a fantastic job. You cannot have a bullet hit you from the back and you go back and to the left. You don't have that. If I stand behind you and I shoot you, you're going to go forward. That's where you're going. Period. Everyone knows it. You don't have to have ever even fired a gun for that to be true. So it goes back into the left. But why it's important is because physics cannot be ignored. Physics is just another word. Physics, science, any other word like that, those are all just human words to describe the will of Allah. Do you understand? We think about science, we think with like science is its own thing. No, science is just the name given by this white devil. Science is the name given to the study of Allah's creation. Period. Science is not a creation of its own. Science doesn't create. It doesn't produce. It studies what is already. You understand? Let's be very clear about that. That's what science is. It is the study of Allah's creation. So we have photosynthesis, for instance, with plants. Well, Allah has produced this. This is what He has created. For us to find out, we use a process called science. You know, this is right up there with this demon saying that Columbus discovered America. When the people that were showing him how to get here had already been here. And when he got here, there was already people waving to him from the damn shores. You see, again, white people trying to play God and trying to be God when they are the furthest thing from God and are in fact the antithesis of anything godly and holy and righteous. In our next live, if you will remind me, I have a very engaging story that I could share with you about the Mormons who came to my door earlier today. It was quite interesting. As I speak to you, I'm sure they're still thinking about me and talking about me. I have no doubt. But I digress. So what I'm trying to say is there's no way this guy is going to be hit by brain matter unless, the angle at which Kennedy is hit sends the brain matter in his direction, which would be directly from the grassy knoll. Do you understand? So we're going to get into this. I pulled a couple pieces for us to interrogate and prosecute and to make my case. Now, one of the pieces that we're going to look at is this, called Those Who Rode by Kennedy Remember. And as usual, I don't read any of the pieces that I pull. I only just scan to the bottom to see if they're War and Peace or how long are they, etc., etc. And so this was no different. So we're going to look at this piece. This is, ironically, this piece is from November 22nd, 2003. All right? But we begin tonight with this piece. Proof of a shot from the grassy knoll. All right? And you can see here in the picture that this gentleman, Hargis, the police officer, is just here where the arrow is pointing to. And this picture is right at the moment of impact of the bullet to Kennedy's head. He's not gone back into the left yet. This is the moment of impact. The moment. The moment. All right. Let me increase this in case you all want to read along. Give me 1 second. Now, it's long been touted by conspiracists as evidence of a shot from the grassy knoll. I want to stop and say this before I even get started, everybody. Here is your answer when somebody says conspiracy theorist. All right? This is how you shut them the fuck down. And don't ever be afraid of that label. Because here's how you combat that. Because first of all, the only people that say that are dumb as fuck. That's first. Second of all, if you and I see the same exact event and you give an account of what happened, how is yours superior over mine unless I'm being ridiculous? So I give you an example. We're at a stoplight. A lady crosses the street. She's hit by a Ferrari. Oh my God. And he kept on going. That's what happened. Now, you say that, and then I come along and say, yeah, traffic was stopped, lady was crossing the street, oh my God, she's hit by a stretch limousine. And there was 6 green men that looked like they're from outer space sticking up out of the top of the limousine. and they turned around and backed up and did a circle and a donut in the street, and then they went back in the other direction from which they came. Now that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But if I'm saying, no, it wasn't a Ferrari, it was a Lamborghini, does that make it ridiculous? Or you say the lady wasn't hit and I say she was hit. That's a discrepancy, but it's not ridiculous. What the white devil seeks to do with this phraseology is to try to shut you up and to make whatever they say empirical. We went through this with COVID, where they had a list of people that were misinformationists. No, your word is not the fucking final word, bitch. I have a brain and I have a right to think my thoughts too. It's so arrogant. It's beyond arrogant. It's beyond. So it's not a conspiracy theory to say, damn it, Kennedy was shot from the fucking grassy knoll. Not a question. That's not a theory. We have evidence to back it up. Do you understand? It's just like in the case of 9/11. They want you to believe that buildings were collapsing. Well, I'll show you a building collapsing, and then I'll show you a building becoming dust in front of your eyes. And that would be the Twin Towers. A building collapsing would be Building 7. Building 7 went down into its own footprint at 5:30 in the afternoon on 9/11 in 6 seconds. It was a 47-story building, steel reinforced structure. Down in 6 seconds. But we saw the whole building go straight down. That's a building collapsing. Due to explosives, no less, but that's a building being going down, collapsing down. Like you could have rode it from the top, literally, like a surfboard, and gone down. I'm not joking. But when we see the Twin Towers, we see buildings becoming pulverized dust in front of us. Don't give me a goddamn collapse. Because if it was a collapse, then we'd have huge pieces of the building on the ground, and we don't. And as I prove in my piece, and I show, we even have first responder firefighters saying you had two 110-story buildings and you don't find anything. He said, one of the guys said the biggest piece we found was a piece of a telephone keypad, and he held up 2 fingers to describe how big it was. He goes, it was a keypad that about this size that you could hold in your hand. He goes, the buildings collapsed to dust. Now, the only thing he got wrong was collapsed. The buildings became dust in midair, and that's what we see happening. So in the case of the murder of JFK, we see the evidence of a bullet coming from his front right. His front right, which pushed him back and to the left. And that's how this officer got brain matter splattered all over him. He thought he had been shot. So let's read. And also, in this piece, I'm going to be making an insinuation, hear me, an insinuation, hear me, an insinuation that these Zionist bucks who have taken over this country may have had something to do with the assassination, certainly had incentive to be involved in the Kennedy assassination, as they have completely colonized this country. That's why every politician says that they're joined at the hip with Israel. No matter what. Kill their mother, burn their children, it doesn't matter. We're sticking with Israel. Because they've infected and infiltrated this country like a very bad virus. A very bad virus. A very bad virus. Now, It says, now it's been long touted by people with a different point of view, looking at the same evidence of a shot from the Grassy Knoll. Motorcycle cop Bobby Hargis, riding to Kennedy's left, somewhat behind him, was struck by Kennedy's brain matter when Kennedy was hit in the head by the last of the shots fired in Dealey Plaza. And as I say in my 9/11 video, I believe that in that moment, the moment that last shot was fired, that's when the country went from being able to trust what the government said to absolutely fucking not trusting a damn thing they said. That was the end of innocence, if we're going to call it that. That was the moment that it all turned. Because without 9/11, you don't get, or I'm sorry, without the Kennedy assassination, you don't get 9/11. Because the people then, grant you there wasn't social media and there wasn't the access to media and things like that like it is now, but the fact that when it was known that the entire country didn't storm the fucking Capitol and everything else in that bitch and strike fear into those who have been elected to lead, you see, and to use your Second Amendment, which is specifically for when your government becomes tyrannical and tries to override you and oppress you, you're supposed to take them the fuck out. Because no one did that after Kennedy, which was the biggest event at that time in this nation, everybody laid down. So, poof, we can do 9/11. And they'll just lay down. And we did. You see? Now, the logic is as follows. If Hargis, riding to Kennedy's left and behind him, was struck by brain matter when Kennedy's head exploded, that must mean that the shot came from in front of Kennedy and to his right. It sounds plausible, but only if you don't know much about wound ballistics. Fuck that. Remember, I haven't read this, but that's some bullshit. You don't have to know anything about ballistics. You don't have to ever fired a gun. The law of God is just that. Period. You can't make rain up. It must come down. Period. So throw that statement out. You don't have to know anything about wound ballistics and the bullshit. Fuck all of that. The fact is, this dude was struck in the head from the front right, and that's what sent the brain matter into this dude. Remember, these are the same people that gave you this magic bullet that stops in midair, makes left and right turns, goes up and down and around, has a mind of its own, and just does whatever. You see? No. We got to be over that. And most of all, we got to stop listening to any government. And notice also, everybody that they convened for the Warren Commission after the murder of Kennedy were not law enforcement people at all. None of them were marksmen. None of them were professional shooters. None of that. They always get some fucking suit, tie-wearing fuckers to tell you what the fuck happened, and they weren't on scene, and neither were you. But you're supposed to take their word for what happened. You see, just like in the case of 9/11, nobody on that panel was an architect or an engineer or a fireman or anybody versed in steel and building and stuff like that. It's just a bunch of fucking suits. But contrast that to the destruction of the Space Shuttle Challenger, for instance. You had engineers and scientists that were on that panel. In fact, the final coup de grace came down to this British guy, I think he was British, who took a piece of gum and put it between a vise and put it in some ice water while he's sitting up there talking, and used it as a very effective piece of evidence, because he was trying to show that these O-rings that are supposed to seal the joint of the solid rocket booster when it fires and when it's in flight, and they're supposed to seal the joint so that hot gases and fluids don't get past, in order to do what happened to the Challenger. So he used a simple thing to show that because it was the coldest launch in the history of any launch ever, there was literally icicles hanging off the launch structure on the morning of the launch. It was too cold, and they knew it. So he pulls it out after it's been in the ice water for a while and showed that it doesn't move. It can't. It's not pliable anymore. So of course it wasn't going to seal the joint. But my point is, they had people on the panel who are in this area of expertise, and that's what you need. Because when you have something else, then that means they're only there to just contrive a fictional story for the public that they're going to feed you. Of course, the murder of Kennedy was a damn conspiracy. Not to mention the fact that the limousine came to a complete stop. A lot of people don't know that. I have done many hours of research on the Kennedy assassination for many years, because I've been obsessed with it since I knew about it as a child. I've just been obsessed with it. And I have read and watched everything that I could possibly read and watch. And one of the little known facts that people don't know is when the limousine turns onto Elm Street, because now, like, many cars have curb to curb steering, like my Honda has curb to curb. So if I'm on a regulation street, then I can literally turn my wheel hard to the left if I'm parked at the curb, and I can make a complete U-turn. I don't need to stop. I don't need to do a wide turn. I can just turn all the way around. That's nothing. It's nothing. All right. Well, the presidential limousine that Kennedy was riding didn't have that. I suspect many cars didn't have it then, but certainly not the presidential limousine. And so they literally had to stop and back up in order to complete the turn before they turn onto Elm Street. That's not in the Splattered film, because the Splattered film has been doctored. All right. People think that it was like things are today. Something happens today, we see the video today. No, it was years after this assassination that the public first saw the Splattered film. Kennedy is killed in 1963. They don't see the Splattered film until 1970 something, on a Geraldo Rivera show, when he had this. Oh my God, you don't want to see Geraldo ever, but you definitely want to see him from the 70s. I'm over it. So it had been doctored. So they had to stop in order to make that turn. But also, at the point of the fatal shot, the limousine was at a standstill, everybody. It was at a standstill. Like, they literally stopped. The driver stopped the limousine. We have proof of this by witness statements from the day. You can go and watch. There's hours of real-time video from that day. Because back then, you could just walk off the street and walk into the television studio and they put you on the air. They're smoking cigarettes, they're having drinks. It was very laid back. It wasn't all buttoned up corporate like it is now. Like, they're literally getting your name as you're on air. Like, now, what's your name again? Such and such is gonna, and they didn't test you to see if you were good for television. Are you gonna say the right shit and all this? It was very like, here it is. And so we have witness testimony that said the limousine stopped. That's also corroborated by the fact that in the video, we see the tail lights of the limousine. You only see tail lights when the brake lights go on. Do you understand? So we know unequivocally that the limousine stopped, so they had a clear shot of Kennedy. And hence, this dude was hit. Also in the video, you could see that the motorcycle comes up almost to the side of the limousine because the limousine's already stopped. So he's already advancing. If he doesn't stop, he's going to go past the limousine because they stopped. You see? More evidence. Even in this picture, that's how he's that close, because the limousine has stopped. So at that point, his motorcycle is advancing. He's coming to a stop, but he's still advancing. And so that's how brain matter and all that is thrown on him, and he thought he had been shot. All right, this claim goes back to Josiah Thompson's book, 6 Seconds in Dallas. Thomas's treatment of this Officer Hargis includes the following sentence. The debris from the president's head hit Officer Hargis with such force that he told reporters the next day, "I thought at first I might have been hit." End quote. You see? I thought I might have been hit. The problem here is that the force, in quotations, statement comes from Thompson, not Hargis. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Why would the writer Josiah Thompson say that and not the officer? Huh? Because the writer didn't say it. It was the officer that said it. And we're going to hear from him in just a moment. No one has ever produced any statement from Hargis saying he was hit with any force, although he most certainly was hit. Well, listen, why are they squabbling over the amount of force or not? This is a red herring by this devil. The fact is he was hit by this brain matter. Doesn't matter at what speed. You see what I'm saying? They're using that because they're trying to set you up for something else. I guess they're going to give us that the brain matter turned in midair and went to him only, or something ridiculous. Let's read on. Here is the article that this Josiah fucking person is quoting from. The Sunday News, New York. Sunday News, New York. November 24th, 1963, page 21, courtesy of Steve Barber. Motorcade cop tells how it happened. Dallas, November 22nd. B.W. Hargis, 31, Dallas motorcycle patrolman who was riding in President Kennedy's motorcade, gave this account today of the assassination. Quote, "We turned left onto Elm Street off of Houston, about a half block from where it happened. I was right alongside the rear fender of the left side of the president's car near Mrs. Kennedy." No, he wasn't yet. He wasn't in that position until the driver hit the brakes. But let's go on. Quote, "When I heard the first explosion, I knew it was a shot. I thought that Governor Connolly had been hit when I saw him turn towards the president with a real surprised look. The president then looked like he was bent over or that he was leaning toward the governor, talking to him. As the president straightened back up, Mrs. Kennedy turned toward him, and that was when he got hit in the right side of his head, spinning it around. I was splattered with blood." Just a second. This is where they're lying. He didn't say spinning it around. He didn't say that because it didn't happen. And as we all have seen in the Zapruder film, he didn't spin anywhere. He went back and to the left over onto Jacqueline Kennedy. There was no spinning. You see, they're trying to weave this in. Because I predict to you they're going to try and give us, it was the spinning motion that threw the debris onto the cop. That's why they wanted to take out this force word. Wallahi, I swear by Allah, everybody, I have not read the article. I don't know what it's going to say at all. I swear that by Allah. But I always do this, especially for somebody new listening to me. I always do this with articles because I want to teach my audience and display how I vet whatever it is that I'm exposed to. How do I scrutinize it? How do I interrogate it? Do you understand? How my brain works. So that hopefully you will be inspired to do the same thing. Or something similar. So I'm now offering that, because I bitched about the whole force thing a little while ago. I called bullshit on it. And now they want to give us that this officer said that Kennedy turned toward him, or Miss Kennedy turned toward him, and that was when he got hit in the side of the head, spinning it around. Which is going to be a tough lift for them, because if you've already said that he was hit in the side of the head, that means the shot didn't come from the back. And if he got hit in the side of the head, that means it came from the fucking Grassy Knoll. So let's see what they're going to cook up for us here now. All right. So that's when he was hitting the side of the head, spinning it around. Period. I was splattered with blood. End quote. No. He was splattered with brain matter and skull matter. Brain and bone, everybody. Let's go on. Then I felt something hit me. So after he was splattered by blood, then I felt something hit me. It could have been concrete or something, but I thought at first I might have been hit. Then I saw the limousine stop. I saw the limousine stop. And I parked my motorcycle at the side of the road, got off, and drew my gun. This is not true. He didn't say this. They're trying to make his story seem ridiculous so that you'll believe that the rest of it is ridiculous. They're mixing truth with lies, everybody. This is the forked tongue of this white devil. Like I always tell you. This is the forked tongue of this white devil. Absolutely the forked tongue. Because that didn't happen. Everybody knows that didn't happen. So according to this now, he's hit by blood only. He's splattered by blood only. And then he felt something hit him, like as if it was concrete or something. Because we don't know. We're just, we don't know. And then he saw the limousine stop. That's a fact. And then it says, and I parked my motorcycle. That's not even what's in the video. That's not even what's in the video. That's not even what's in the video. At all. That he parked his motorcycle beside her and got off and drew his gun while the limousine is sitting there parked, apparently. I can't. That didn't happen. There is a motorcycle cop that does stop his motorcycle and lay it down and runs across the street to the Grassy Knoll. That's true. We saw that. That's in the footage that's from the day of the murder. All right. But they're trying to put it all together to confuse you. All right. It says, and they took off. Now, then the Secret Service agent in the president's car got his wits about him, and they took off. The motorcycle officer on the right side of the car was Jim Chaney. He immediately went forward and announced to the chief that the president had been shot. I don't know if we're going to stick with this because it's turning into some bullshit. And y'all know me, I'm quick to abort. We'll just go on and see. The best guess about what something, in quotations, the best guess about what something hit Hargis will be discussed below. But here it's important to note that the "such force" in quotations statement has been repeated by a generation of conspiracy books as though it were Hargis's statement. You see, this is written to try to forward the lie, everybody. So I think we're about to abort. Yeah, we're done. We're done. We're done. This is just meant to be lies. Let's hear from Hargis himself, though. This is Officer Hargis. Hear this now.
Riding a few feet from the limousine was Dallas police outrider Bobby Hargis.
You see there now, it speeds up though. So this enters right, right after it's already stopped.
Riding a few feet from the limousine was Dallas police outrider Bobby Hargis.
You see, they don't show when it had stopped. This is showing after the driver started going again. We know that because the agent who runs up to get on the back of the limousine, we know from the other view, from the Zapruder, this is not the Zapruder film. We know from the Zapruder film that after Kennedy is shot, that's when Jackie gets up. Now the limousine is stopped when he's shot with that last shot. Jackie is horrified. She starts climbing up onto the trunk of the limousine to get the hell out of there. All right? And that's when the agent runs up onto the back of the car and it's like, nah, just get back in the car, and they take off. So this is after that sequence. All right? This is after all of that, because in this sequence, Jackie's still in the car and she's holding the president. See here? See here? You see there? See there? And the agent jumps on the back of the car. There it is.
There's another motorcycle officer.
And look, they've added screeching tire sound effects. I'm over it.
Riding a few feet from the limousine.
That screeching tire sound effects is not in any video that is known from this case, everybody. So that's added after the fact. But the video is authentic. I'm just saying that they started it after the event. He's already been shot there with the headshot. He's already been shot, and Jackie is now already back in the car after having climbed onto the back of the car. And this, the agent, I used to know his name. I can't remember it now. But he's already now engaging the car and jumping on top of it. You see? Well, there's Jackie again. Okay, my bad. It's after it stopped, but Jackie's already, this is right after he's shot, and now they take off. It's already stopped. This is right after it stops. Because when they start to take off, they're still going slow because the driver's trying to make sure that he's been shot. Because I think the driver was in on it. Because why would you stop the limousine? Your whole job is to drive the president and keep him safe. That's your one job. That's all you do. And you stop dead in the middle of the damn street. So this is meant to conceal the stoppage. So after they stop and they hit the headshot, then he starts to slowly pick up speed. We know it's slowly because if he had gone fast, Jackie would have been thrown out of the car as she tried to climb up. But she wasn't thrown out. Because look.
Riding a few feet from the limousine was Dallas police outrider Bobby Hargis.
You see? There. And if they'd taken off fast, the Secret Service guy wouldn't have been able to run and jump onto the limousine. That's just, anybody knows that. All right? See the sequence again.
Riding a few feet from the limousine was Dallas police outrider Bobby Hargis.
There's another motorcycle officer.
So he's already been hit by the brain matter in this video.
Riding a few feet from the
He's already been hit because, like I said, Kennedy's already been hit.
Riding a few feet from the limousine was Dallas police outrider.
There you see the Secret Service guy.
Bobby Hargis.
Jumping on to the limousine.
There's another motorcycle officer by the name of Buddy Brewer that came up to me and said, "Bob, you have something on your lip." And he took his finger like that, And it was a piece of the president's brain and a piece of his skull bone.
Piece of his brain and a piece of his skull bone, huh? That was just on his
Hit me on
lip
the
because
lip.
he had it all over him.
Riding
It
a
was on his
few feet
uniform and
from the
everything, his
limousine.
helmet and all. He's just talking about what was on his face.
Riding a
Hear
few
it
feet
again.
from the limousine was Dallas police outrider Bobby Hargis.
There's another motorcycle officer by the name of Buddy Brewer that came up to me and said, Bob, you have something on your lip. And he tucked his finger like that, and it was a piece of the president's brain and a piece of his skull bone that had hit me on the lip. The watery blood and stuff that came from his wound had splattered my motorcycle and all over my uniform and my helmet and my face.
You hear that? All over my uniform, my helmet, and my face. Hear it again.
A piece of the president's brain and a piece of his skull bone that had hit me on the lip. The watery blood and stuff that came from his wound had splattered my motorcycle and all over my uniform and my helmet and my face.
All over my uniform, my helmet, and my face.
All of us felt real bad. Every single soul in the police department felt bad. And you could tell it by just looking at them.
They all felt bad. They all felt bad. Now, that's from the horse's mouth. That's from the horse's mouth. Let's go to this other piece that I pulled. Those who rode by Kennedy remember. This is from 22nd November 2003. Now, for retired Secret Service agent Winston Lawson, the memory of 22nd November 1963 is an endless stream of windows. From Love Field to Dealey Plaza, he says, quote, there were 20,000 windows. How could we possibly check them all? Now, what he means there, everybody, for those who may not know, anytime a president goes anywhere, there is what is known as an advance team by the Secret Service and others, but primarily the Secret Service, and they are exactly that, an advance team. It's their job to get there ahead of time. If he's going someplace where he's flying, they are there when the those big, I think they're C-130s or something like that, that carry the whole motorcade is flown there. The cars, the ambulances, all the shit that's going to be, they're there to organize that. Whatever route he's going to travel, they're there to make sure any tall buildings, windows are closed. They investigate and check people out. They station agents in certain areas. It's a whole thing to be sure that his entire journey is secure and safe and they know everything. In this case, there was all these people. In some places it was 10 deep. They were so enthralled and so excited to just get a glimpse of President Kennedy, you know. And certainly the area of our scrutiny would be Dealey Plaza, i.e. the book depository and all that stuff. There was windows open, you know. Yet there had been no Secret Service scrutiny or anything of this. So even if there hadn't been a conspiracy, any nut job could have taken a shot at Kennedy at any point along the route. It wasn't something that they had done in advance on. It was not something that the Secret Service could have controlled. You see? But he says, how could we possibly check them all? For TV cameraman Mal Couch, then a precious 25, seeing the rifle that he believes killed President Kennedy, its barrel sticking out of one of those windows, marked, quote, the beginning of the end of the world, end quote. Lawson, 75, and Couch, 65, are survivors of a presidential motorcade that began in splendor and ended in horror. 40 years have passed. A span of 2 generations, a lifetime for some, since JFK's assassination. But for people caught in the maelstrom of the motorcade, the horrific day comes to life not only in the pages of a textbook or the images of a documentary. It lives within them because it transformed them. For Nellie Connolly, 84, the only surviving passenger of the Lincoln convertible that carried the president and his dazzling First Lady, Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy, the 40 years since have made her circumspect and fearful, something she never was before. Quote, since that day, I have never fully stopped looking over my shoulder at the horror that might be behind me, says the widow of former Texas Governor John Connally, who was critically wounded in the shooting that killed the president. Bobby Hargis, the guy I just showed you, 72, then a Dallas police officer whose motorcycle flanked the left rear bumper of the president's car, has a recurring dream in which he chases but never quite catches Lee Harvey Oswald. For Hargis, the ensuing years have taken him on his own spiritual journey. Quote, it makes you think about life, he says, sitting at his breakfast table in Cleburne, Texas. The shortness of it, the preciousness of it, every breath we take. And what did I learn that day? That we're never that far away from being nothing. For Jim Wright, 80, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, the events of that day cut short the life of a president he loved, a friend, and in their own crude way, reshaped the course of history. Quote, I was in such an ebullient mood that day, a word I don't know, even with my vast vocabulary. Let's learn, class. What is ebullient? We can glean its meaning from its context, but let's find out. Ebullient.
Here's the definition of ebullient: cheerful and full of energy.
There we have it. All right. I was in an ebullient mood that day. Cloud 9, said Wright, who teaches at Texas Christian University. Wow. And then, in such a short time, I would be plunged into the pit of despondency, numbing sadness, pathos. In many respects, none of us has ever been the same since that moment. And it won't leave our minds no matter how hard we try. Win Lawson grew up in Western New York, where his father was an accountant, his mother a teacher. He worked in counterintelligence in the Army and developed an interest in law enforcement. So he applied to the Secret Service when he and his wife, Barbara, were living in Syracuse. He did so just in time. In those days, applicants could not be over 30, his age when he applied. Prized for being a stickler for detail, he became one of the agency's most valuable advance men, the job he held when President Kennedy came to Texas. Haha. So he was an advance guy. Let's see, when Kennedy, I lost my place. When Kennedy came to Texas, all right. It was his job to check out the host city, in this case, Dallas, where citizens had recently heckled both Vice President Lyndon Johnson and UN Ambassador Adlai Stevenson. The city was absolutely going out of its way to be cordial, said Lawson, who lives in Virginia Beach, Virginia. As the motorcade left Love Field en route to downtown Dallas, Lawson and the other agents, all of whom were in procession, were staggered by the number of people who lined the streets, the thousands who waved and cheered. And you'll remember that Connally's wife her testimony, she turned to Kennedy and said, well, Mr. President, you can't say that the people of Dallas don't love you. Because they had treated him like, like these right-wingers treated Obama or something, or Kamala Harris or something like that. Like they're the worst thing. You see, all white people, of course, always stirring the pot of shit. That's all they stir. So this was no different even in 1963. I always tell you, the same devil, same thing, same record, no change. And so as the motorcade began the last leg of its journey, heading down Elm, the feeling was one of triumph and vindication for Dallas. And then came the first shot. Like most witnesses, Wynn Lawson recalls 2 more, though puzzled by the quicker pace between the second and third, which all but tore the president's head off. And everybody says that, which means all the pictures we've seen of the autopsy and all that stuff is all a crock of shit. And I have offered everybody, just for your own education, you've heard of the J.D. Tippit dude, Officer J.D. Tippit, who they claim after Oswald shot the president, there he goes running through the goddamn Dallas and all of humanity and runs into Officer Tippit and shoots him too and keeps on running. Well, that didn't happen. Somebody else shot J.D. Tippit. And what most people don't know is that J.D. Tippit used to literally call him JFK because he resembled the president so closely. That literally was his nickname. Hear me now. When the Jedi speaks, you learn. They literally called him JFK. And I've proven in a previous piece that one of the autopsy photos that we have of Kennedy laying on the table, I'm proving that it's J.D. Tippit. Because I show, here you have the President of the United States, a man who has been wealthy all his life. He's going to Dallas. He wants to impress the people. He's got a nice haircut. And all of us know about a good lineup. Yet the guy laying on the table has the lineup of a poor man, i.e. a police officer, huh? We've heard the various coroners say that the body that left Dallas was not what they saw when it got to Washington, when it got to Bethesda. The coffin was different. All these things. Because J.D. Tippit was the body they switched Kennedy's body for. All the pathologists, all the surgeons talk about the wounds they saw. That clearly there had been some plastic surgery and things like that. J.D. Tippit was shot on that day because he looked like JFK. He was part of their plan. Kill this dude. Do you understand? I've proven that. But a lot of people don't know that because they've not done the deep dive that I've done. And I continue to do because I don't ever assume that I've figured it all out and I know it all. I know everything that happened. There's always more to dig for. There's always more. There's always more. And this J.D. Tippit thing is a major piece of the evidence because of where he was shot. And the witnesses on that street, there's video of those witnesses being interviewed in their homes, one of which was a sister, a older black woman. A lot of this stuff I'm saying right now, people are going, what? Because you never saw it, because you haven't done the deep dive that I've done. This stuff is available to you just as it is to me. Go and watch. Go and watch. I have a DVD here at my house that I made myself. It's a 6-hour thing on just JFK. My nephew will tell you that I had him sit down and watch it. 6 hours of JFK. 6 hours. 6 hours of nothing but evidence. Evidence, evidence, evidence. So J.D. Tippit, the officer that was also murdered, again, not by Oswald, was murdered by this cabal, and I can make a cogent case, a hypothesis, that the Israel was a part of that. And they've given us, the Cubans, and it was the mob, and it was everybody and their mother. But it could very well have been these Zionist fucks. All right, let's go on. Like most witnesses, Win Lawson recalls two more, though puzzled by the quicker pace between the second and third. You see, remember the rifle that Oswald had, they've timed how long it takes to cock it up for another shot. It was a very rudimentary rifle, like it was the worst thing you could ever use to shoot anything, quite frankly. And the fact that you had people go boom. We have witnesses on camera saying they heard boom, then boom. Like it's too close for it not to have been two people firing at the same time, two or more. And here it is again from Lawson saying he recalls the first shot, then two more, but puzzled by the quicker pace between the second and the third, which all but tore the president's head off. The madness that ensued found him and other agents racing to Parkland Hospital, where he was among the first to see the president's body crumpled in the Lincoln. Quote, "You could see the damage to the head, which was devastating," he said. "You could see the color of the skin, which was gray, but not gray really. I knew it had to be a fatal wound. I never saw the president alive again, or his body again." Instead, he embarked on a 40-year trial of re-examination. "I must have thought a million times, what could I have done to prevent it?" he said. "And what could I have done about 20,000 windows?" He says he believes fervently that Oswald acted alone. Well, he's paid to say that because he doesn't want to end up like all of the witnesses that spoke. They all ended up dead in mysterious deaths. Like people shot through the head 4 times and they call it a suicide and ridiculous stuff like that. He says he believes fervently that Oswald acted alone. But notice that's not in quotations, everybody, class. We've got all these quotations. Every time he speaks, quotation, 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 quotation. "I must have thought a million times," quotation, quotation, quotation. But here we go. No quotation. He says he believes fervently that Oswald acted alone. But it's not in quotations because he didn't fucking say it and he doesn't believe it. Especially after what did he say up here? Wait now. Though puzzled by the quicker pace between the second and the third. So by the time he's making this statement, he knows how long it takes that rifle to cock. And he knows you wouldn't have that quick of a pace between the second and the third shot. So it's inconsistent that he would now say that he believes fervently that Oswald acted alone. It's outrageous because it's not the truth. Now, that's after a period it says conspiracy buffs. In other words, people who don't believe our bullshit, and because we think we're God and what we say must be the truth. Conspiracy buffs, he says, neglect to consider the 10 miles of the motorcade route stretching from Love Field to Lemon Avenue, to Turtle Creek, to Cedar Springs, to Harwood, to Maine, to Elm, to History. The trip was to take 35 minutes before arriving at the trademark. Again, none of that's in quotations. He says he believes fervently and blah, 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 all this, nothing in quotations, because he never said he doesn't think it. All that is bullshit. And it's not in quotations, boys and girls, because they don't want to get sued. They can say he says, but they just barely protect themselves by not putting it in quotations because he didn't fucking say it. And then voila and poof and presto by magic, here's a quotation. Quote, there were a million better places from which to have fired a weapon, end quote, said Lawson. When the Jedi speaks, you learn. Suddenly we have a quotation, but they just gave us War and Peace and a complete thesis of all humanity with no quotations and erroneous statements that he never thought or said without any quotation, and then suddenly, lo and behold, quotation. There were a million, quote, there were a million better places from which to have fired a weapon, end quote. And among them was the grassy knoll, huh? Not from 6 stories up from some guy they claimed couldn't shoot, and it was the rifle from hell, and just luckily he gets 3 shots off and kills the president. One of which magically comes down at a trajectory traveling downward while the car is moving forward, no less, moving target, goes around the back of Kennedy in order to hit him in the right temple. Yeah, I don't find any fault with that at all. Sounds perfectly, I mean, that sounds exactly like what happened to me. So that's what happened. I find no fault with it. I just can't find it. All right. He did not let the assassination derail him. Rather than go to a field office, as most agents eventually do, he remained at Secret Service headquarters until he retired. He also chose to remain in the agency's protective division, a decision he admits was influenced by Dallas. I don't know if we need any the rest of this. Excuse me. Oh, here's that quote. Connolly, but the Connolly's wife, became First Lady of Texas, where her husband was elected in 1962. She holds the distinction of having said the last words President Kennedy ever heard. As the president's car prepared to turn onto Elm Street into the killing zone, she felt dazzled by the cheering throng and turned to share her enthusiasm, feeling like a proud parent. Quote, Mr. President, she said, you sure can't say Dallas doesn't love you, end quote. He responded with a dazzling smile, followed only seconds later by gunfire. His hands flew up to his neck, she said, and he sank down in his seat. He didn't say a word. John was seated in front of him and was a hunter, knew it was a gunshot. He turned to his right and couldn't see him. So he flips to his left and he still can't see him. And he says, no, no, no. And when he was trying to turn back, the second shot came. John said, my God, they're trying to kill us all. Meaning the 4 of us in the car. Then he collapsed and the front of his shirt was covered in blood. He fell forward. My only thought then was, I've got to do something for John. I've got to get him out of the line of fire so they won't hurt him anymore. I reached over and pulled him over into my lap. She's talking about John Connolly, who was the then governor of Texas. He was looking up and he was bloody all over. He had his Stetson in his hand like he always did. So I leaned over and put my hand on that spot, on the wound. Later, the doctor said by closing the wound, I may have saved his life, that he probably would have died before we got to the hospital. The Warren Commission concluded that there were 3 shots, but none of them were fucking there, and they all need to die. Hopefully, most of them are dead. I'm sitting with John on my lap, and suddenly brain matter has covered the car. It's like tiny, bloody buckshot, she said. Mrs. Kennedy was trying to climb out of the back of the car in her pink pillbox hat clinging to the top of her hair. She said later she was going to going after a piece of his skull. Clint Hill, that was the agent that jumped on the back of the car, y'all. Clint Hill, Secret Service agent, riding in the car behind the president, rushed forward to force Jackie to set her ass down. He shoved her and the president to the floor and kept them pinned until the motorcade reached Parkland Hospital. She and Ellie Connolly were exchanged a pair of heartfelt letters, blah, blah, blah. It kept through my mind like a photograph record playing over and over and over. Her own waking nightmare. Connolly regrets the President Kennedy legacy, blah, blah, blah. For the first time in my life, blah, blah. I push it. Let's see. Yeah, we don't need the rest of this. Yeah. Wait. But once the procession reached Houston Street, preparing for the final turn on Elm, Hargis began to relax. I thought, well, we got it made now, he says, and then bam, it happens. Hargis differs with the Warren Commission and most eyewitnesses, insisting that only 2 shots were fired. With the first, 1,000 million things went through my mind, he says. After the last, there was a plume of blood and brains and plasma. It was just like a fog, and I ran right through it. Photographs taken in the seconds that followed show Hargis racing up the grassy knoll in pursuit of a sniper. Haha. So he said already that he had no doubt that it was Oswald. For the love of God, it was Oswald. But why were you running up the grassy knoll when you know that Oswald wasn't on the grassy knoll by the time you're making that statement? Again, why it wasn't in quotations, because he never fucking said it. I proclaim. Do you understand? Racing up the grassy knoll in pursuit of the sniper, he thought the shots came from there. But like most motorcade survivors, he believes Oswald acted alone, saying he saw, quote, nothing behind the Knoll's picket fence to indicate anything suspicious, much less a second gunman. I mean, I would have expected to find a circus clown, but not a second gunman. Oh, why would Pippi Longstock, he might have been standing there, but not a second gunman. You see? Mix the lie with the truth, as any fork-tongued devil does. You see? But we know the truth. We have it. We have it. We have it. Because what you want to say is you ran up there and you didn't see anybody, but that still didn't, that still doesn't wipe out your suspicion that the shots came from there. I mean, remember, he's a police officer. He's familiar with guns and gunshots. And everybody in that area talked about smelling gunpowder. You can't smell gunpowder if you're not upwind of it. You see? So they're mixing in lies with the truth. And there's some things you just can't get around. You just can't get around it. So, photographs taken of the seconds that follow show Hargis racing up the grassy knoll, huh? Racing. Not, well, I think I'll just go check this out as I chew gum and maybe just chat with a few people. No, went racing up the grassy knoll in pursuit of what? A sniper, bitch. A sniper. He thought The shots came from there. Period. And then it says here, quote, when I reached, now it's a quotation, quote, when I reached the school book depository, someone said, Bob, you've got something on your lip. It turned out to be a piece of brain mixed with bone from the president's skull. Within seconds, a man approached Hargis, vowing, in the officer's words, quote, to get his hands on $17,000 if I'd agree to sell him my helmet. I couldn't sell it anyway. It belonged to the city of Dallas. Well, that's new information. Assassination just happens. You see a cop with blood on him, and you offer him 17 grand? Come on, man. Oh my God, I can't. Let's see what that was worth in 1963, everybody. So we can be even more sickened. Quick, get your vomit bag. Get it now. Do now, so you don't mess up anything nice in your house or your car, or whatever you're listening to me from. All right, let's see what 17 grand was worth in 1963. What was the value of $17,000 in 1963?
According to Inflation Calculator, $17,000 in 1963 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $175,368.89 today, an increase of $158,368.89 over 61 years.
That would have been the equivalent of $175,368.89 for a fucking bloody helmet in 1963. Seconds after, because what does it say now? Within seconds, comma, a man approached Hargis, vowing, comma, in the officer's words, quote, to get his hands on $17,000 if I'd agreed to sell my damn helmet. I'm over it. Wow. And here's something else I'm saying now. Because as I've said, mysteriously people were having these mysterious accidents and dying. Oh my God. I see here it says 2 years after the president died, Hargis suffered his own near-fatal injury while patrolling on a motorcycle. A police motorcycle. The accident crushed his leg and shattered his ribs. He took medical leave from 1974 to 1980. When he returned to the force, he held an administrative job until 1999 when he retired. You see? So somebody's trying to get rid of him too. In dreams, he still chases the killer. I'm over it. It starts out a normal dream. Let's see. As part of the motorcade, he found himself riding. Photographer Morning Jackson. Anyways, but for me, it cuts even deeper. The Bible speaks. I'm over it. Anyways, as I proclaim, this is more evidence, not that I needed it. I knew about this already, but I've never done an isolated piece on this guy. I just knew there was an officer who, that one of the police had been hit by brain matter that was riding in that position near the presidential limousine. I knew that. And so this is just, but you see how they try to weave it with lies very craftily. That's why with grammar, everybody, you have to watch punctuations, when you read anything. Not only does it tell you the cadence of something that's written, but it emphasizes who's speaking, when they're being quoted or when they're not being quoted, when the writer is taking license, when it's just hearsay, all these things, paragraphs and sentences, they all matter. And on any piece, you always have a writer, an editor, and a publisher. So everything from the title of it to what the body of it's going to be, to the font, to the wording, to everything it's not just random. It doesn't just magically end up on a page. Like, there's a whole process of how it gets there, and you have to be able to discern what's going on. But it's also important that you fill your mind up with volumes of knowledge on a variety of topic and subject matter, even stuff that you don't think concerns you, or even something you might find boring, or you're not interested in, whatever. Just so you have it. Because that's your database. When you're confronted with anything, it doesn't just have to be writing. It could be something you're watching. It could be somebody you're talking to, an event you know about or you learn about or something. And you have some knowledge to put to that, to say, I know about this because X, Y, and Z. Know about it. Just know about it. Know about it. Now, I want to briefly make my insinuation of why the illegal land theft heist in the desert would have motive to want Kennedy assassinated. This is from the American Presidency Project, UC Santa Barbara. Why this I find of interest to everybody is because I refreshed my knowledge. I've known for many years that Israel has nuclear weapons. In fact, I've even presented to you in previous work going years back. I told you about when Obama was elected, and among one of his first press conferences in the White House press briefing room, there sat a lady named Helen Thomas, who I've presented to you in the past. She was like head of the White House press corps. She was old and seasoned. They even named an award in her honor for future journalists and all this. And it pissed me off when she asked Obama, he was up there talking about nuclear weapons and this person can't have them and we've got to make sure. And she said, can you name any country in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons? And he knew she was insinuating fucking Israel, the shit stain in the desert, the illegal land heist. And Obama's answer, I'm not going to speculate on, on countries that may have, I don't want to speculate. I just thought, fuck you, Obama. That was my first fuck you, Obama, that I ever had to proclaim with him. Because the shit stain has fucking nuclear weapons. Bitch. But why I cite that now, everybody, is because with this knowledge, I knew that at the time he made the statement. That's why I said fuck you, Obama. because I knew earlier than 2008 that these bitches had nuclear weapons. Have known for many, many years. I've known that. And with this latest genocide upon Gaza, I wanted to refresh my knowledge. And because for years they hid their nuclear capability. And then it became kind of an open secret. Then some U.S. envoy or ambassador was sent there, and they were doing an aerial inspection, and he saw something. And of course, the stinking Zionists lied about what it was, and but they were still suspicious. It made the U.S. suspicious still. And as I understand it, Kennedy was not on board with that shit. And you see how they act today. They are the pinnacle, the quintessence. I mean this. I'm not just using words, everybody. I need you to hear this. I mean this shit like my blood flowing through my veins. They are the quintessence of evil. The embodiment of demonic evil. The embodiment. The embodiment. The embodiment of evil. Blood drinking, baby eating, genociding, murdering, name it. And you see how fragile they are. So it's nothing for them to arrange to murder a president. You see? And they weren't going to have the type of control and be able to infect this country like the virus that they have now. Every major corporation in this fucking country has a Zionist in it. Every bank. The entire government. Democrats and Republican. Every state. They are literally a virus. I brought you Cynthia McKinney, who told you you can't run for anything in this country unless you sign the pledge to fucking Israel. This is an occupied country, everybody. That's not a hyperbolic statement. That is the fucking truth. Get there. Get there. This is an occupied country. Nothing less. Now, this is Letter to Rabbi Israel Goldstein by then Senator John F. Kennedy. 10th August 1960. Congressional B'nai Jeshurun, 270 West 89th Street, New York. Dear Rabbi Goldstein, you stinking bastard. Oh, what's that? I'm being told by my editor that's not on the page. I'm being told. I don't know. I need my glasses. All right, quick. Somebody bring my glasses. Somebody, quick. All right. We'll just start again. Dear bastard. What's that? It doesn't. Okay, let me just clean my glasses off, you guys, because I can't do this. I cannot do this. All right, I'll just start again. Damn it. Dear murdering genocide fuck. Damn it. All right, they're telling me it doesn't say that. All right, I can't do this. I can't. I won't do it. I can't do this. I can't. Thank you very much for your recent letter and its kind references to my address to the luncheon tendered me by the State Policy Committee of the Liberal Party. In this address, I briefly commented on important questions involved in our country's domestic and foreign policies. Time did not permit a detailed exposition of my views on many aspects of these matters. I hope to have the opportunity during the course of the campaign to elaborate on the important policy questions. I'm glad that your letter gives me the immediate opportunity to state in somewhat greater detail my views on American policy with regard to the fucked up bullshit shit stain. What's that? It doesn't. All right. They're telling me again. Greater detail my views on America's policy with regard to shit stain and the Middle East. All right. It says it. The section on the Middle East and the platform just adopted at the National Convention of the Democratic Party sets out a just and reasonable course for American and indeed world policy in this important area. The platform is one I am proud to advocate and will do all within my power to implement. The section on the Middle East reads, In the Middle East, we will work for guarantees to ensure independence for all states, period. Remember, when you don't just single out their genocidal asses, they get real upset. They want to be special and shit. Well, they're special. They're just a special fucking evil. So we'll go on. All right. We will encourage direct Arab-Israel peace negotiations. Direct. All right. The resettlement of Arab refugees in lands where there is room and opportunity for them. Resettlement, bitch. Resettlement. They don't want that. They didn't want it then, they don't want it now. Room and opportunity for them. An end to boycotts and blockades. And unrestricted use of Suez Canal by all nations. Oh, you can see their big nose asses turning beet red now. We urge continued economic assistance to your shit-stained genocidal ass and the Arab peoples to help them raise their living standards. We pledge our best efforts for peace in the Middle East by seeking to prevent an arms race while guarding against the dangers of a military imbalance resulting from Soviet arms shipments. Protection of the rights of American citizens to travel, to pursue lawful trade, and to engage in other lawful activities abroad without distinction as to race or religion, bitch, is a cardinal function of the national sovereignty. We will oppose any international agreement or treaty which by its terms or practices differentiates among citizens on grounds of race or religion. That means we're not going to favor your bitch ass over the Palestinians. Fuck off and kick rocks. Anybody see this as a recipe to kill somebody in an open limousine on Friday, November 22nd, 1963? Anybody see it? Anybody see it? Class? Anyone? Right there. Right there. Right there. And this is when he really puts the sauce on it. We will oppose any international agreement or treaty which by its terms or practices differentiates among citizens on grounds of race or religion. You see? We're not going to send you shit. We're not going to support you. We're going to tell you to kick rocks, you and your mother, that fat greasy bitch, that fat bitch. You understand? I think I've proven my case, but we'll go on. While all phases of the platform on Middle East problems While all the phases of the platform on Middle East problems are important, it seems to me that the central overriding problem in the Middle East is the problem of achieving peace in the area. The persistence of the Arab states in maintaining a state of war against Israel is clearly the root cause of the discriminations you cite. The starting point, therefore, for an effective, realistic American policy designed to preserve peace and extend the free way of life in the Middle East is to come to grips with this threshold obstacle. American diplomacy must be directed to ending the state of war in the Middle East, and this understanding should have a very high priority in a democratic administration. In other words, remember they're always saying they're the only democracy in the Middle East? He's saying, and y'all bitch asses need to lead the fucking way, bitch. The necessary first step, as I see it, is to bring about a conference of the contending states in which they undertake by mutual negotiation to resolve the outstanding problems that are crucial to each side. Such a meeting could be meaningful and even decisive if it stemmed from a desire to make peace and promote cooperation. You see, if it stemmed from a desire to make peace, like that's the only way it's going to work. And we know that they don't have peace on their mind. They're the definition of hate, evil, violence, and murder and genocide and fakery, trying to steal somebody else's fucking identity when they're not even from goddamn Africa, bitch. I would hope to demonstrate to the nations of the Middle East our genuine desire to provide the conditions for a just and mutually beneficial modus vivendi, and to see the Arab states renounce the state of war and begin peace negotiations with your bitch ass based upon the principles of recognition of the integrity and independence of all the states concerned. While this will be our firm objective, it is also important that a democratic administration take immediate steps to eliminate discrimination on the grounds of race, religion, and color and the bullshit. You see what I'm saying? So he's backing up the fact that I just insinuated that he's talking directly to their hook-nosed ass. While this will be our firm objective, it is also important that your bitch ass take immediate steps to eliminate discrimination on the grounds of race, religion, or color practiced against Americans abroad. In the course of the campaign, I will be discussing with the American people my views of international problems and programs, and I expect that my speech will contain amplification of the matters I've discussed above. I hope my views will enjoy your support, and I shall look forward to hearing from you again. With every good wish, I am, sincerely, John F. Kennedy. So, I offer this as a hypothesis, everybody, because we see who they've been and what they are. And for those of you who followed up, you know that the video that I put out and linked the video to Hitler's speech called Freedom or Slavery. It's in English. That's what makes it extraordinary. That we finally have one of his speeches it translated to English, finally. All any of us have ever seen our whole life is just him screaming and yelling in German. That's it. And we just have to believe what they tell us that he's saying, and that's it. And we don't know. Well, now we have it. Now we have it. And what he was seeking to do in Germany and Eastern Europe as a whole was to get rid of these people because they were doing what they successfully have done here. They have totally infiltrated your entire society and control every fucking thing. I brought you, it's here on the channel, I brought you Kanye. He was outside someplace, it was at night. And on his phone, he pulls up, he says everything in red is controlled by them. and that whole fucking phone was red. Go and watch the video. All of it. All of it. All of it. That's what they were trying to do then. In his speech, he's talking about how they keep their money together, they stick together. They make sure they're in your judiciary, so they're in your courts, they're in your legislatures. At the federal level, they've got the Fed. They're national security. They're the heads of all your fucking defense contractors and all the bullshit. I mean, it's a total fucking takeover. It's a total takeover. And he wasn't having it. Now, we can agree or disagree about his method. But I always knew inherently, just as a thinking person, why? 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 Because they're quick to tell you how bad he was. And look, he killed over 6 million people. Okay, that's fine. That happened. But why did it happen? Why? 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 And we've never gotten that answer. Until now. Until now. And I'm going with that unless they can come up with something that's not ridiculous, that's believable and true. And it's going to have to be more than he hated Jews. That won't do it for me. That won't do it. That just won't do it. I'm so sorry. That's not good enough. Just like when the self-inflicted wound of 9/11 was executed by our government and others and military. But we'll go with the 19 hijackers. When Bush was asked, why did they attack us? You know what the bitch said? They hate us because our freedom. They hate us because our freedom. Again, every white devil, they project. They project. Because why we don't have thriving black towns that outdo every fucking thing white people have ever conjured is because they hated us simply because we were successful and we outdo them on every fucking thing. And that jealousy still holds today in the hearts of every single fucking one of them, even their unborn fucking child. This I know. That's projection. They're going to do all this just because they hate your freedom? Really? When they have more riches in their country than you will ever fucking dream of? But damn it, those Americans are just so goddamn free. Quick attack. I mean, it's just, come on. Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. I'm over it. I'm over it. Anywho. Alright. So we're just under a couple hours. So I guess I'll land. I want to say thank you to I see in my analytics, you guys, every Monday, I think, I get a report on my channels. And it just gives you analytics, you know, how many people viewed you this week, and what was your highest viewed video, and, you know, how many subscribers you gained, and how many people shared your video, and things like that. And that's what I wanted to isolate in on, is there's many of you out there that do actually share my videos. You know who you are, and I thank you so much. Listen, everybody, not just me, but any YouTube channel you watch, you know, we're kind of nothing without you. We can only do so much. And so if you follow me, you got to help me out. Because I'm the channel host, but this is not about me. This is about us. And so you have to remember to thumbs up the videos. Especially for somebody like me, who speaks the way that I do, who speaks truth to power, who is fearless. I'm only as strong as you. I'm shadow banned. I'm not monetized. Do you understand? The only way to overcome the shadow banning is if you thumbs up the video. That's how we catch the algorithm. My job is to produce as many videos as I can to saturate the internet to a point where I'm undeniable. But in the meantime, I need you. I need you into infinity, quite frankly, not just in the meantime. So you got to remember to thumbs up the video, everybody. You got to. You watched it. I took the time to produce it. Just, you could at least thumbs it up just to acknowledge, hey, you worked. You worked. Just acknowledge the work. You got a thumbs up. You got a thumbs up. And share the video. Share the video. If you can't do that, at least give it a thumbs up. But a special acknowledgement to those of you who do share the work. I appreciate you so much. I thank you so much. You are my foot soldiers, and I need you. And I also want to say a big shout out to all the new subscribers to the channels. Remember that I have two channels. There's this channel, The Jedi, and then I also have Jedi Africa. My other channel, my icon for the channel is a picture of me. A shout out to all the new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. I'm sure that why you subscribe is because you've realized I'm not like anybody else on this damn internet. I'm not like most people on the earth, quite frankly, in humanity. You know, I'm a unique article. I'm one of one. And I'm very careful with my audience. I don't proclaim things that I don't know. I'm not here to sound like I'm smart or to be impressive. None of that stuff is important to me. The only thing I'm interested in is the truth. I'm not even interested in my own opinion. I'm only interested in what is right with anything in life. With anything. Because I recognize that people see things on the internet and they go and recite that, you know. So my responsibility is to make sure that I'm putting out good information, you know. So that if you're not prudent enough to check the things that you've heard from me, then at least you won't be looking like a fool because you're proclaiming some shit that's not the truth. If I don't know something, I tell you in a heartbeat, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let me find out. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. You know, I'm always learning. I'm someone who's interested in knowledge and wisdom. And so you will find that. I also don't stack my audience with 1,000 videos a day, you know, to where you can't keep up. You know, I try to give some amount of time between my uploads so that you have time to consume whatever it is I've put out, you know. Sometimes I come a little quicker with another video if I put out like a 10 or 15 minute video. I mean, how long does it take to watch something like that, you know? So maybe I only need a day in between, but for the most part, I'm very considerate of my audience, so that you have time to consume what it is I put out. I don't put stuff out just for numbers. I put it out because I have something to say. I have something to enrich my audience with. That's why I speak. If I don't think that I can add knowledge to something or bring something that wouldn't be known, then I don't need to speak. You know, there's a whole lot of people that will jump onto one subject and they all saying the same shit. I don't need to speak if that's the case, you know, unless I know something or I see something in that whatever it is that I know people they're not going to think of that. And that might be the most important thing. But everybody's so interested in sensational shit because they're just chasing numbers. They don't really care, you know. How many videos have I seen where somebody comes on their camera and they're like, they'll start to tell a story about something or cover something and say, I don't really know what the such is, but anyway, I'm just going, well, you just admitted you don't know, so get your ass off camera. Go and sat your ass down. You know, they're just so in a rush to turn on the camera and be out there to have some shit to say. Just add to the noise pit. There's no value to that, man. There's no value to that. And stop consuming stuff that is just salacious and doesn't enrich you. Be over that. Be over that. Be over it. I still got people saying, well, you know, Africans don't like us. I know they haven't done any fucking study at all. At fucking all. At all. They don't know any Africans. They haven't been to Africa. They don't have any reference at all other than that. That's it. That's it. You know. There's a million examples I could give. That one just comes to mind right now. But enrich yourself. Enrich yourself. Because knowledge is power only if you use what you learn. Doesn't do you any good to fill yourself up with a bunch of stuff and then you don't act on the knowledge that you have. That doesn't mean anything. You're supposed to gather knowledge and you're supposed to use it. You're supposed to use it. And so that's what I seek to do. I seek to enrich my audience. That when you leave me, you should be fuller than when you found me. That there should be something reflective that you go, I did not know that. I didn't know that. Or I didn't think about it that way. Or whatever. That is why the Jedi speaks. As I said to you earlier, I intend to be live with you before this weekend is out, everybody. I don't know if it'll be today because I'm just, I mean, the week has just gone so quickly. It seems like everything's just going so quickly now. It's like, I can't, like, it seems like just yesterday it was January, and now it's going to be January again, pretty damn soon. You know, we're about to go into December. I mean, the election seemed like it was 1,000 years away, and it already happened now. All of that, you know. So just, I just feel like I'm in a time warp of some kind. I don't know if it's just me or if everybody's experiencing this. I just know I am. But if I'm not live with you later today, then I'm definitely endeavoring to be live with you guys on Sunday, man. Those of you who have caught my last lives, you know that I was still growing my beard. I don't know if I'm cutting it off before we are live or not. I won't know that until I'm in the mirror, exfoliating and cleansing. I just won't know. I don't know. But we'll see. But for now, again, I love you all. And God willing, I will see you soon. This is the Jedi.